All rise. The Commission on Judicial Appointments is now in session. The Honorable Patricia Guerrero presiding. You may be seated.
Wow, full house. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to the public hearing of the Commission on Judicial Appointments. As Chief Justice of California, I serve as chair of the commission. The other members of the commission are Attorney General Rob Bonta and Presiding Justice Jim Humes. This hearing is to consider Governor Gavin Newsom's appointment of Judge Tara Desautels to the Office of Associate Justice for the 1st District Court of Appeal, Division 2. The commission is in receipt of a letter from Governor Newsom appointing Judge Desautels to fill a vacancy created by the elevation of Justice Therese Stewart to presiding justice. The state constitution specifies that an appointment by the governor to the Court of Appeal is effective when confirmed by the Commission on Judicial Appointments. The commission received correspondence pertaining to this appointment, and we made these letters available to the public and to the press a few days ago. Pursuant to a request by Governor Newsom, the State Bar's Commission on Judicial Nominees Evaluation has undertaken an evaluation of the qualifications of Judge Desautels for this position. Ms. Chaya Malik, chair of the commission, is present to provide the results of that evaluation later in these proceedings. Judge Desautels has asked that the following persons be called to testify on her behalf. I will list all of you now and call on each speaker to come to the podium. Starting with the Honorable Charles A. Smiley, Judge, California Superior Court, County of Alameda. Welcome. Ms. Shannon L. Moore, Chief Assistant City Attorney with the City of Richmond. Welcome. And the Honorable Carol A. Corrigan, Justice with the California Supreme Court. This should be fun. We invite Judge Smiley to the podium.
Thank you, Chief Justice, Presiding Justice Humes, and Attorney General Bonta. My name is Charles Smiley. I'm a judge on the Alameda County Superior Court, as mentioned, and I am a witness in support of the governor's nomination of the Honorable Tara Desautels to the 1st District Court of Appeal, Division 2. I've known Judge Desautels for, and it pains me to say this, preparing for these remarks, 30 years. We were law students together, just around the corner at UC Law SF, in the same first-year section. We graduated and became professional adversaries. She went to the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. I became a public defender. And then we later found each other back on the bench as colleagues in Alameda. Now, although the exhaustive vetting, I'm sure, of her outstanding record probably leaves little unsaid, I would like to offer just a few of my observations, firsthand observations over the course of a long career I've had the privilege to watch. So Tara was, of course, a smart law student. I didn't know her well back then, but just to give you an impression of what she was like back then, she was the kind of law student who, after raising her hand and answering a professor's question, made me feel like I had a lot more work to do hitting the books back then. But it wasn't until she was a prosecutor that I learned something about how hardworking she is, how fair she is, and how professional she could be. That work, I think, offered glimpses as to the successes she would experience, and that a few of which I'll share from her work on the bench. But what I want you to know is she practiced law with integrity. She understood that the power of her position was indeed a responsibility, and I think that that's still what drives her to work so hard today. On the bench, she distinguished herself as a Superior Court judge of exceptional talent. Not only can she do it all, having done diverse practice areas as assignments and ancillary assignments, she always finds time to join all these different committees around the state, whose work always somehow involves working to grow the branch, the judicial branch, or contribute to its growth. Back at home in Alameda County, and I'll point out that we are joined today by many members of our bench as well as our alumni, we recognized her talent early on. And in fact, When big projects came up, she was the one we looked to steer those projects. These are projects that were critical to our mission. So when we wanted a digital case management program to modernize our court, a huge, complex undertaking, Tara Desautels was the person we called upon. When it came time to look at preparing a 10-year strategic plan. Now, and this is a project that involved talking to all the bar associations, talking to all of our stakeholders and the public at large. And it was, to my understanding, the first time we had such a thorough engagement with the public and to allow them to participate in charting a course for our court. Tara Desautels led that effort. We're smart in Alameda County. And we elected her twice to lead us, both as assistant presiding judge and also as presiding judge. What I really want you to know is that she is important to us, and she's important to the history of our court. Now, when she became presiding judge, voted in by overwhelmingly by our judges, it only took a few months before she began to be tested. I remember sitting at a retreat that she organized so we could carefully plan what her time as presiding judge would look like. And it was an ambitious program. And then the pandemic hit in March of 2020. And that was during her time as presiding judge. And it's here what I have to share with you, because I was her APJ at the time. I got a chance to watch greatness up close. The work that she did on behalf of our court and the challenges we were facing was brilliant and courageous. The job demanded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I would get texts at 6 a.m. in the morning, sometimes earlier, on Saturday. And she had us working sometimes on weekends. If she dared to take a day off, she always had her laptop and her phone nearby. Those times demanded a lot of her, but her leadership was admirable. The way that she convened our stakeholders and community to keep us afloat showed me how serious she is about access to justice, about keeping our court open. And we were one of the early courts to pivot to video conferencing our proceedings. Now, as her assistant, I witnessed her tireless work ethic, her genuine concern for people, her compassion for others. I saw the many difficult decisions she had to make during that time, the relentless difficulty of her job and the stresses that came with it. But I was impressed by how she managed those stresses, both with wisdom and strength. Not only did she lead our court during this time, but she was also elected by the presiding judges across the state to become vice chair of the Trial Court Presiding Judges Advisory Committee, where other courts also got to profit from her leadership, and also the leadership of Ted Zahner, who's also present today. They work closely together. Throughout it all, working closely with her during this time, I learned several core truths about Judge Desautels, which I believe will serve this institution here at the First District well. She's brilliant, a big thinker, who is fearless, and who deeply and genuinely cares about the mission of the judicial branch and our collective success as an institution. And most importantly, no matter what she's doing, she stays mindful of the fact that our work is important because it serves people. I commend the governor on his selection of Judge Desautels, and I wholeheartedly recommend her confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge Smiley. We appreciate you condensing 30 years' worth of your knowledge into very powerful remarks. We next invite to the podium Ms. Moore.
I have to follow him, I don't know. Good morning, Chief Justice Guerrero, Attorney General Bonta, and Presiding Justice Humes. I'm Shannon Moore. I've been friends with Judge Desautels, Tara, for the last 20 years. I'm here today to support her nomination to serve as the Associate Justice of the First District, Division 2, Court of Appeal, Division 2. You know, I first met Tara when I was a first-year associate at Pillsbury Winthrop Shaw Pittman. I remember really what struck me about Tara is her clear interest in supporting and encouraging and fostering, mentoring younger attorneys at the beginning stages of their career. Tara and I were actually, we were the San Francisco representatives to Pillsbury's Attorney Development Committee at the time. I don't know if it still exists, it may. And she actually created and implemented across all of Pillsbury offices a group-based mentoring called Advisory Group Program. And she, of course, I mean, she's so impressive, became the national co-chair of this ADC. So I only really actually worked together with Tara for a brief period, and then really what really has, our beginning stages at Pillsbury kind of cultivated into a 20-year kind of lifelong friendship, and our friendship remains strong to this day. So I guess you can say, we're on parallel tracks. We got married around the same time. We both have 2 children. Actually, my husband and I are godparents to her son. And I can tell you this, Tara commits all of her heart to everything she does. Family is actually at the top of that list. Obviously, she's very committed to her position as a state court judge, but she really does prioritize her kids, her husband, and her extended family. It's very, very important to Tara. And friends are definitely a close second. So Tara really cares deeply about everyone she encounters, whether it's family who are here in the audience today, her friends, even a neighbor or a stranger. I've seen it firsthand. I've gone to Tara for advice on just about everything: career, marriage, family. I remember we used to take long walks in San Francisco. Actually, even before I married my now husband, Dave, we talked about kind of what it would be like to be married and the challenges and the kind of excitement that brings. And then now we hike together in the East Bay Hills with our dogs and try to solve the world's problems, but really kind of figure out how to navigate life as a working mom. And it's definitely a challenge for those who are going through it right now. In a good way, it brings opportunities. So besides being a listening ear and a problem solver, Tara has shown up for me in life's real key moments. I had a really small family-only wedding, and I remember the day of my wedding, I was getting ready, at a hotel in San Francisco, and Tara shows up, helps me get ready. She brought food to my mom and family, and she even brought, something borrowed, something blue. She brought a blue ring to me to make sure, that I had that special, tradition. She also, I was 10 weeks in, I went into preterm labor with my first daughter, and, I was on bed rest for 10 weeks, and Tara showed up in such a meaningful way. She would bring me dinners, she would sit with me, and she would make sure that, I really wasn't alone during that kind of challenging time. In preparing these remarks, I tried to really kind of think about Tara from, and it principled kept coming back. I even Googled what principled means, like what is a quality of a principled person. And when you're just to paraphrase Google, when you're highly principled, when you're highly principled, your core values and beliefs are always at the forefront. A principled person is someone who adheres to moral codes, standards, and principles. As I am sure most of the audience behind me knows, Tara is just that. She's very principled. Her kindness, compassion, and strong moral compass will make her a strong appellate court justice. And I enthusiastically support Tara's nomination and encourage you all to confirm her appointment to serve as Associate Justice to the First District Court of Appeal, Division 2.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Moore, for sharing with us the heart and commitment that Judge Desautels brings to everything that she does. The commission next invites Justice Corrigan to the podium.
Madam Chief Justice, Mr. Attorney General, Presiding Justice Humes, it is a pleasure to be with you today to speak on behalf of Tara Desautels. She is, as you have heard, an exceptional candidate who will bring a wealth of experience to the Court of Appeal. You're really lucky. She has been both a civil and criminal trial advocate. She is a highly regarded trial judge. She knows how the system works in real life, on the ground, in real time, from the perspective of both an advocate and a jurist. She was chosen, as you have heard, the presiding judge of one of the largest trial courts in the state of California. And that selection by her peers reflects not only their respect, but their trust. And as you have heard, her tenure just happened to coincide with a global pandemic. And managing that crisis, getting judges, lawyers, staff, the public, all on the same page, and ensuring that there would continue to be access to justice in unprecedented ways in those uncharted waters was truly a monumental undertaking and one which she discharged with aplomb. Tara is a wonderful and considerate colleague and a gifted consensus builder, all important qualities for those who sit on the courts of review, where it's important to come to an agreement not just on the result, but how you get to the result and how you explain that result. All of those are exceptional demands, and she brings exceptional talent in those areas. She is an insightful legal analyst and a graceful writer. She knows how to explain the intricacies of the law with great clarity. She has been active in branch administration, advising the Judicial Council. In sum, she's pretty much the whole package and the real deal. Tara shows up. One more thing. As APJ, she was consulted by the governor's office for her views on other judicial candidates, and that experience provides another unique perspective. You know, being a trial judge can pretty much be like being in charge of a three-ring circus. You may be managing battling lawyers and long-suffering jurors and the court attachés. And in addition, you are called upon to rule on motions and objections that can make or break a case, not just at the trial level, but on appeal. Those demands often come from trial lawyers without warning, and they need an immediate and correct answer. Or you may have a busy calendar assignment with hundreds of cases requiring hundreds of decisions every day that have big consequences in people's lives. It can be a little bit like juggling flaming torches. And all of those demands don't really allow for much serene reflection on jurisprudence and on the best attributes needed to be a superior jurist. But being asked for your views on other judicial candidates requires that you engage in just that kind of deep thinking about what judges do and how they do it and what qualities they need to do it well. I have it on good authority that Justice Desautels was highly regarded for her views on those topics. She will bring all that experience to the Court of Appeal. She will draw on all of it as she makes decisions that require not just knowing the law, but knowing how the law works in the crucible of the courtroom. Her opinions will help guide the jurisprudence of California for years, maybe even decades to come. I suggest that the governor has presented you with a truly exceptional candidate. In Tara Desautels, Californians will have a jurist who is as practical as she is scholarly and as wise as she is smart. I commend her to you most highly and without reservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Corrigan. I think she was wise and smart to have you as one of her speakers here today. Appreciate it. The commission now invites the chair of the Judicial Nominees Evaluation Commission, Ms. Shia Malik, for the report that the commission conducted.
Good morning, Chief Justice Guerrero, Attorney General Bonta, Presiding Justice Humes. It is my great honor to present this report on behalf of the Commission on Judicial Nominee Evaluation to summarize the basis of the Commission's rating of Judge Tara Desautels of the Office of Associate Justice of the Court of Appeal, First Appellate District, Division 2. The Jenny Commission conducted its evaluation of Judge Desautels at the December 2023 Jenny meeting, finding her to be well qualified for service on the First District Court of Appeal. According to Commission rules, that rating reflects the Commission's determination that Judge Desautels possesses qualities and attributes indicative of a superior fitness to perform the appellate judicial function with a high degree of skill, effectiveness, and distinction, and is well qualified for the appellate court. Judge Desautels was born in England and raised in the United States when her family relocated after her paternal grandmother passed away. Judge Desautels credits her great-uncle, a Jesuit priest immersed in education, for instilling in her the importance of service, leading her to obtain a Bachelor of Science from the Walsh School of Foreign Service at Georgetown University in 1993. Judge Desautels earned her JD from Hastings College of Law in 1997. Judge Desautels began her legal career as a prosecutor with the Alameda County District Attorney's Office, a few of whom join us today. She tried 24 misdemeanor and felony cases to verdict. She then worked as an associate attorney at Pillsbury, Winthrop, Shaw, and Pittman in San Francisco, focusing on antitrust class actions and white-collar criminal defense matters. In 2010, she was appointed to the Alameda County Superior Court and has handled multiple assignments, including juvenile, general criminal, felony criminal trial, and preliminary hearings, family, and civil. She's had multiple leadership positions, most notably as presiding judge for the Alameda County Superior Court during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, deftly navigating a uniquely challenging period for the courts. Outside of the court, Judge Desautels has lent her time to a wide range of judicial council committees. In addition to serving on the Informational Technology Advisory and Tactical Plan for Technology committees, she served as co-chair for the Data Analytics Subcommittee and vice chair of the Trial Court Presiding Judges Advisory Committee. Judge Desautels is a highly respected litigator and judicial officer who has earned the respect and support of her legal community. The Commission's investigation confirmed Judge Desautels' reputation as smart, focused, composed, ethical, and hardworking. Judge Desautels has developed a breadth of experience in family, civil, and criminal law. She's played an important leadership role as presiding judge of the Superior Court and has received praise from justices and colleagues at the First Appellate District while they're on a 4-month assignment. As a judicial officer, Judge Desautels embraced a consensus-based approach, deliberative and clear in decision-making, which will be essential to success on the appellate bench. As Jenny Commission Chair, it is my sincere honor and privilege to appear at the confirmation hearing of Judge Tara Desautels to testify as to the Commission's evaluation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Malik. We appreciate your dedicated work. Now invite Judge Desautels to the podium to present a statement if you wish and to answer any questions the Commission may have.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice Guerrero, Attorney General Bonta, and Presiding Justice Humes. I am humbled and honored to be here. Right now, I do have to thank my dear friends, supporters, mentors, sanity savers, Judge Smiley, Shannon Moore, and Justice Corrigan. I'd also like to thank the Chief Chair of the Jenny Commission, Ms. Malik, for being here today, as well as the Commission overall, as well as the Alameda County Judicial Advisory Selection Commission, and the Regional Commission. I'd like to thank, of course, Governor Gavin Newsom for considering me and nominating me to this position today, as well as the Appointments Secretary, Luisa Spettis, and Assistant Appointment Secretary, Adam Hoffman, as well as Debbie Kuhn and the entirety of their staff. The work of these organizations is essential to the maintenance of our fair and free judiciary in this state and throughout the United States. And their exemplary work is what makes it so overwhelming for me to have the privilege of being here today. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have for me.
Thank you. Attorney General Bonta.
Thank you. Well, it's an honor to be here for this wonderful hearing, and I first want to thank the distinguished panelists for your thoughtful and insightful reflections on Judge Desautels' abilities and skills and leadership. I was particularly struck by how you met the moment during COVID, which was a difficult time for all of us. And as a leader, you were called to do more and give more, and you did. And you showed courage and strength during a difficult time. And it's not lost on me that you and your own family and loved ones were going through COVID as everyone else you were leading was as well. And you stepped up for them. So I really appreciate hearing that. I was just struck by something in your application materials that I wanted to reference. And I always believe that we're all shaped by our lived experiences and our own inspirations. And you shared one of yours in your materials about the fact that you were influenced to pursue a legal career in public service by your grandfather, who was an appellate attorney and, in your words, a master of logic. And your great uncle, as referenced, who was a Jesuit priest who was interned in a Chinese work camp during World War II. What advice do you think they would give you now as you transition into the role of appellate justice?
So much advice. Both were quite prolific in that regard. Starting with my great uncle, who was one of the most loving, caring, compassionate people I have ever known. You reference his internment in a Chinese work camp. He did not come away from that experience with any kind of resentment or hard feelings. He viewed that as an example of the work that he had been doing to bring freedom, to bring free speech, to bring education to underprivileged communities as the right path. So he took that as food and encouragement, and I'm sure he would advise me right now in the same way. When times are hard, it's not time to shy away. It's not time to lash out. It's not time to take on the negative. It's time to turn it into the positive. And similarly, but in a slightly different way, my grandfather, who, as you said, as I said, was the supreme master of logic. He was known, he had 20 grandchildren, and he was known by all of us, anytime we were having any kind of trouble, for shaking his finger in our faces and saying, patience, patience and fortitude. Now, that wasn't just a saying. Some of you might be aware, patience and fortitude are the names of the lions outside the New York City Public Library, which is where my grandfather spent every free minute he had. And he viewed those sayings, patience and fortitude, as guidance for him and passed it on to us. Anytime you have a challenge, be patient, be strong, and you can work through it. So I think that would be the advice they would give me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Presiding Justice Hughes.
Thank you. I don't have any questions for you, but I do want just to take a moment to thank you for the public service that you've given and for all of your active work and involvement in trying to make the courts better. And just all for your hard work and your exemplary life examples that you've given us, all while being very devoted to your family and balancing it all out. So thank you, and I think Justice Corrigan was exactly right when she said we on the First District are very lucky to have you appointed to your positions. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a privilege.
I also have a comment. I think the whole state is privileged to have you serving, if confirmed, in this capacity. I wanted to ask you a question about some of the attributes that you focused on and highlighted as being some of the most important ones for an appellate justice. And you talked about a few of them, but one of them that you mentioned was to recognize the big picture impact, is how you phrased it, of every appellate opinion. And I'm wondering what you meant by that and how you intend to do that in the work that you do have confirmed.
Well, and this is where I rely on my experience as an attorney in private practice, in government work, as a prosecutor, as a defense attorney, as a civil litigator, as well as my time on the bench in the different assignments that include family, juvenile, criminal, and civil. Because I've had the opportunity to see and work with individuals from all kinds of backgrounds, from all kinds of perspectives, in all kinds of litigation and court matters that bring them before us. From the administrative aspect as well, I've had the opportunity to interpret or attempt to interpret and implement legislation and rules. And so what I've seen is the trickle-down effect, in that sometimes there is a step that is made, proposed legislation, a rule, certain laws that are intended to solve one particular problem. But as we know, it's very unusual in this world for problems to be isolated. They're surrounded by other circumstances, and efforts to solve one particular problem sometimes can cause a ripple effect that negatively impacts the communities that was intended to be helped in the first place. So when I'm talking about big picture, I'm talking about recognizing that any decision that any justice has the privilege to make has a potential for a ripple effect. And that ripple effect can be positive and it can be negative. But my goal would be to keep that prospective effect in mind, to be sure that consequences are considered in any decision that's rendered.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This completes the list of witnesses who are testifying here today. Are the members of the commission prepared to vote? All in favor of confirming Judge Tara Desautels for this position, please say aye.
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 Aye. On this record and correspondence received, the commission finds Judge Tara Desautels qualified to be an Associate Justice of the First District Court of Appeal, Division 2, and we confirm her appointment. Congratulations, Justice Desautels. That does conclude the formal portion of the proceedings. Judge Desautels has asked me to swear her in, and you're all welcome to stay for that too in just a moment. Thanks. Please raise your right hand when you're ready and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Tara Desautels,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
So this one doesn't have the automatic raising and lowering for those of us who are vertically challenged. I don't know where to start, other than say thank you, all of you who are here in person, all of you that are here in the overflow room, all of you that are watching remotely, all of you that wished that you were here or sent a kind word or participated in the process or helped me at any stage in my career through this process and leading to today's day. You are the people who make me me. You are the reason I am committed to the bench, and you are the reason I have this brilliant opportunity that I will not squander. So I thank you. I would like to thank our commission, Chief Justice Guerrero, Attorney General Bonta, and Presiding Justice Humes so much for confirming me. I would like to take a few hours to go through each attendee and explain what you individually mean to me. But I recognize that my wishes are not paramount, so I'm going to summarize. I want to thank the First District Court of Appeal for welcoming me so immediately, not just after I was nominated, but when I was coming to sit here pro tem. I want to thank my former colleagues, Justice Petru and Tucker, who are the ones who nudged me along, said, oh, you should try this pro tem thing. You'd be good at it. And Justice Pollack, who didn't know me at all, but took a chance on me, as well as the other justices of Division 4, Justice Streeter and Justice Brown, who welcomed and encouraged and guided me along the way. Every justice I met as part of the experience touched me so positively. That is what motivated me to even think I could embark on this journey and to put my name in. And I've seen that same kind of welcome from the Division 2 justices that now, thankfully, are going to be my colleagues. Presiding Justice Stewart, Justice Miller, Justin Richmond, who terrified me by kindly giving me a Justice Desautels hanger at a lunch we had a couple weeks ago. And ever since, I've been touching every wooden substance I've passed, lest that be premature. So I'm thankful that I actually get to keep and use that hanger at this juncture. I would like to thank the commission, the Jenny Commission, the JAKE, the JSEC Commission, who went through the evaluatory process. I, of course, I'm not going to repeat extensively, but want to thank the governor, the appointment secretary, the assistant appointment secretary. I need to point out what an insanely involved process this is, and that all who go through it, it is so much work. We have dozens upon dozens upon dozens of qualified candidates aspiring to be judges and justices every year, yet the diligence that they demonstrate, the speaking from personal experience, the attention to detail that the appointment secretary and assistant appointment secretary exhibit going through applications and recommendations and letters with a fine-tooth comb, yet demonstrating warmth and compassion and a true understanding of the needs of Californians. And that is why we have the tremendous bench that we do have in this state. So I thank all of you for that service. I want to thank all of the attorneys who have worked with me, side by side, before me, or appeared before me over the years. And this includes the public defenders that are here today or not here, the district attorneys who are here today who are not here, the civil practitioners, everybody who I worked with on a committee. It includes on the bench and statewide all of the judges and justices and administrative staff that I've worked with over the years. I know we have Shelley Curran and Rob Oyoung here, as well as some of our advisory committee representatives, which include Sheila Hansen, my partner in data analytics forever, David Yamasaki. We have presiding justices, or judges rather, who I knew from NJO and Judicial College back in my first year of sitting on the bench, and we've stayed in touch and we've supported each other. I have to call out Judge Heinrichs, who was the chair of the Trial Court Presiding Judges Advisory Committee during the COVID pandemic when I had the privilege of serving as vice chair with her. We were a team, and that's what makes things work. I need to count, or rather thank, all of Alameda County, not just the attorneys, but the members. We have representatives from Senator Skinner's office here. We have representatives from Assemblymember Lee's office here. And it's just to show the commitment that the county demonstrates to the bench. I want to also thank my friends, and I challenge you to find your connections with them at the reception afterwards, because I know you have them. I have friends, as you could tell from my speaker, who have been with me for a very long time. I'll call out my oldest friend here, Susie Sharon. We met in first grade. We were the two shortest people in the class, so we got to stand side by side each other a long, long time. I have friends from high school, Hillary Howell, who came up from Santa Barbara to join us, ask her about our water polo adventures. I have friends from our swim team, lane sharers. During COVID, we were careful not to breathe on each other and get each other sick. Kathy Wong. I have friends from our famous book club, some of you might know, from Maria Morga's swearing in not too long ago. For those of you who have the privilege to be a member of a book club, you know you discuss a whole lot more than books. But what I'd really like to do now is call out my family. My family that you see in front of you. We have my father, Mark Desautels, here with his wife, Susan. It's his uncle, Jean Desautels, who you heard about. We have my mother, Maureen McManus Desautels, as well as my sisters, Dawn and Chanel. The four of us women could not be more different in terms of opinions, attitudes, perspectives, occupations, day-to-day life. But we are welded together like steel. You will not be able to break our bond, and I love you wherever you are. We have my husband's parents, Alison Kemp and Martha Kemp, as well as my sister-in-law, Kelly Kemp, as well as one of my brothers-in-law, Brian Miller, who's learning how to speak. He's going to show us that skill later on today, he promised. But I really want to turn to, with no offense to the others, my favorite people, my children. As one of their other godmothers, Mary Kay, has been known to say, you can sometimes be a tremendous pain in the padoink-a-doink. But you are still incredible, amazing, intelligent, caring, funny, awesome people. You challenge your dad and me every single day. And you make us stronger for it. And everything you teach us, I take to my job. And it helps inform me and brings me to this position today. And last, I'd like to thank my husband. As the Attorney General noted, my family went through COVID with me. Some of you know that when, and there was a reference by Judge Smiley, and Judge Zahner knows, that when the COVID pandemic was just exploding, and when the lockdown happened, my husband and kids were in Truckee, California, while I was at a statewide conference with Judge Zahner, Judge Hanson, Judge Heinrich, and many others. They were sheltered away for 4 months. Colin took care of my 2 kids and our Spanish exchange student, while I helped manage the courts. And so what Californians don't know is, to the extent that they think we did anything good as part of the pandemic, and I hope they do, they should credit Colin for it, because it was his love and support and management that enabled me to do what I needed to do, which was to ensure that our courts stayed open so that we could continue to serve all Californians. And that is the last group that I want to thank, our Californians. It is our Californians who rely on our judiciary, who rely on our separate, independent, unbiased justice system. Our job is to give them access to fair and free justice. And that is what I have dedicated my career to doing, and that is what I now, thankfully, have the privilege of attempting to continue to do. Thank you all for your support, and please join us for lunch in the library on the 4th floor right after this. Thank you.